The first time I saw a human weapon, I laughed so hard that my secondary lung collapsed. No, seriously. I had to get medical treatment. Commander Vex stood in the observation deck of the Krathian warship Unyielding Dawn, staring at the primitive vessel limping through the asteroid field. It looked like someone had welded scrap metal together during a particularly bad hangover. The humans called it the Defiant. Vex called it adorable. "Sir, the human ship is hailing us," Communications Officer Trell announced, her antenna twitching with barely suppressed amusement. "Let them through," Vex said, adjusting his ceremonial combat sash. This would be entertaining. The Krathian Empire had conquered 47 star systems. These primates with their chemical rockets and kinetic weapons were about to become number 48. The view screen flickered to life. A human female appeared, her face covered in that bizarre fur they called hair. She looked tired. Annoyed, even. "This is Captain Maya Torres of the Earth Defense Coalition vessel Defiant. You are in violation of the Outer Colonies Treaty. Withdraw immediately or face consequences." Vex tried not to laugh. He really did. "But come on. Captain Torres," he said, pronouncing her name like it tasted funny. "Your little ship has, what, for missile tubes? Maybe some projectile cannons? We have plasma arrays that could turn your vessel into vapor before you even finished saying a prayer to whatever primitive gods you worship." Maya Torres smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We have one gun." "One gun." Vex looked at Trell. Trell looked at Tactical Officer Zarn. Zarn checked his instruments twice, then shrugged all four of his shoulders. "Captain Torres, I admire your courage, truly. But this is embarrassing for both of us. Surrender now, and we will process your crew humanely according to Imperial law." "Yeah, about that," Torres said, leaning back in her chair. "See, we tried asking nicely. We tried diplomacy. We even tried really expensive wine and gift baskets. But you Krathians just kept pushing, kept testing, kept assuming we were primitives who would roll over and let you take whatever you wanted. Because you are primitives," Vex said, letting irritation creep into his voice. "Your species discovered faster than light travel 30 years ago. We have had it for 3,000. You fight with explosives and metal slugs. We wield the power of stars." Right. Very impressive," Torres said, waving her hand dismissively. "But here's the thing about humans. We have this tendency. When someone tells us something is impossible, or that we are too weak, or that our methods are outdated, we get creative." Vex narrowed his primary eyes. "Is this the part where you threaten us?" "Oh no, Commander. Threats come before the action. We are way past that stage." She nodded to someone off-screen. "Lieutenant Park, you may fire when ready." The view screen went dark. Vex waited. Nothing happened. Tactical report. Zarn studied his console, confusion rippling across his facial plates. "Sir, the human vessel is... They are drawing massive power from their reactor. All of it. I am reading energy signatures that should not be possible from a ship that size. Their entire power grid is routing to a single point on the bow, and..." He stopped talking. "And what?" Vex demanded. "And their ship just went completely cold. No shields, no auxiliary power, no life support. Everything is offline except for one system. And sir, the energy reading is... It is equivalent to our main plasma battery array. But that is impossible. Their reactor cannot produce that much power unless... Unless what? Unless they are not producing it, sir. Unless they are storing it. All of it. Every joule they can generate, compressed, and held in some kind of capacitor bank. And now they are releasing it all at once into a single." The universe went white. For exactly 3.7 seconds, according to the Unyielding Dawn's chronometer, something moved through space at a significant fraction of light speed. It was not a missile. It was not a beam. It was a solid projectile, roughly cylindrical, approximately 1 meter long and 15 centimeters wide, composed of tungsten carbide with a depleted uranium core, accelerated by electromagnetic rails to velocities that made Vex ancestors look slow by comparison. The humans called it a railgun. The Krathians would come to call it the thing that ended the Battle of Proxima Gamma in under 4 seconds. The projectile hit the Unyielding Dawn's forward shield at such velocity that the shield did not even have time to register the impact before it failed. The slug punched through armor plating designed to withstand plasma bombardment. It carved through 3 decks, obliterated the secondary reactor, severed the main coolant line, and exited out the port side, continuing onward into the void where it would presumably travel for eternity, a monument to human stubbornness. Alarm screamed. The deck tilted. Damage report. Vex shouted, grabbing the command console as artificial gravity failed. Sir, we have hull breaches on decks 9 through 11. Secondary reactor is gone. Main reactor is approaching critical temperature. We are venting atmosphere. And sir, our weapons array is completely offline. Vex stared at the view screen as emergency power brought it back online. The human ship, the Defiant, hung in space like a dead thing. No lights. No power signature. Just a dark hull drifting in the asteroid field. Then, slowly, lights began flickering on. The reactor signature returned. Captain Torres's face appeared again on the screen, and she was definitely smiling now. Still with us, Commander? Good. Here is what happens next. You are going to limp back to Krathian space, and you are going to tell your superiors exactly what happened here. Tell them that humans do not have fancy energy weapons or plasma cannons or whatever technological marvel you think makes you superior. Tell them we have physics, mathematics, and spite. Vex said nothing. What could he say? That projectile was traveling at 40,000 kilometers per second when it hit you. Do you know what happens to matter at that velocity, Commander? Do you know what kind of kinetic energy we are talking about? She leaned forward. We do. Because before we built weapons, we built particle accelerators. We smashed atoms together for fun. We calculated trajectories to put robots on other planets using nothing but slide rules and determination. So when you showed up with your plasma and your condescension, we did not panic. We just did what humans always do. And what is that? Vex whispered. We did the math. The transmission ended. The emergency council aboard the unyielding Dawn lasted approximately 8 minutes before someone suggested they just leave. Immediately. Right now? Vex hated that he agreed. Sir, we need to evacuate the damaged sections, Trell reported, her voice shaking slightly. Professional military officers were not supposed to sound scared. But then again, professional military officers were not supposed to get turned into perforated space debris by what amounted to a very fast rock. How long until main reactor stabilizes? Vex asked, already knowing he would hate the answer. 18 minutes. Maybe 20 if we vent more coolant. But sir, if they fire again. They cannot, Zarn interrupted from tactical. His confidence had returned, though it sounded forced. Look at their power readings. They are back online, yes, but barely. That weapon drained everything. Their life support is running on emergency reserves. They used literally every drop of energy they had for one shot. Vex felt his breathing slow. One shot. They had one shot, and they used it. A desperate gamble. Terrifying, certainly, but not repeatable. Not immediately. Charge weapons, he ordered. Target their engines. If they want to play primitive games with primitive weapons, we will show them why plasma technology dominates modern warfare. Sir, our weapons array is offline. Trell reminded him gently. The projectiles severed the main power coupling. We have point defense lasers, maybe some short-range missiles, but our main batteries are down for at least 6 hours. Vex felt his chest tighten. Conventional missiles, then. Fire everything we have. I want that ship turned into scrap. Launching missiles now, sir. 8 Krathian hunter-killer missiles streaked from the unyielding Dawn toward the Defiant. Each one carried enough explosive yield to crack a small moon. The humans had no shields online. No active defenses. This would be over in seconds. Captain Torres appeared on the view screen again, and Vex felt a chill run through his spine. She was still smiling. You know what is funny about electromagnetic acceleration, Commander? Once you build the rails, once you solve the power storage problem, once you work out the thermal management, you can scale it down pretty easily. She nodded off-screen again. Sergeant Kim, point defense active. The space around the Defiant suddenly lit up with small flashes. Dozens of them. Then hundreds. Tiny projectiles, each no larger than Vex's thumb, launched from hidden ports along the human ship's hull. They moved fast, absurdly fast, tracking the incoming missiles with impossible precision. The first Krathian missile exploded 2,000 kilometers from its target. Then the second. Then all of them, detonating uselessly in the void as metal projectiles moving at incomprehensible speeds simply punched through their guidance systems and warheads. Point defense railguns, Torres said conversationally. Smaller, faster, cheaper than the big one. We have about 400 of them scattered across the hull. Honestly, we were not sure they would work in actual combat conditions. Thanks for the field test. Vex stared. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Here is the thing you need to understand. Torres continued, and now her smile had disappeared. Every species you have conquered so far, they developed their technology differently than you. Maybe slightly less efficient plasma coils. Maybe slower computer systems. But fundamentally, they were playing the same game. Energy weapons. Shields. Conventional space warfare doctrine. She stood up, walking closer to her own view screen. Humans? We spent 10,000 years finding new and creative ways to throw objects at each other. Rocks, arrows, bullets, artillery shells. We got really good at it. Then we went to space, and everyone told us that kinetic weapons were obsolete. Primitive. Useless against energy shields and plasma arrays. Her eyes locked onto Vex. So we made them unobsolete. We made them faster, more accurate, more devastating. Because that is what humans do when someone tells us our methods are outdated. We prove them wrong. Tactical Officer Zarn's voice cracked across the bridge. Sir, sensors are picking up 3 more human ships entering the system. Different configuration from the Defiant. Larger. They are powering up weapons. And sir, the energy signatures match. 3 more ships. 3 more railguns. Possibly more. Vex made his decision. Helm, plot a course back to Krathian space. Maximum speed. Sir. Trell looked shocked. You heard me. We are leaving. Now. The unyielding Dawn turned, its damaged hull groaning under the strain, and began accelerating away from the human ships. No one chased them. No one fired. The humans just watched them go. Captain Torres's voice came through one last time. Commander Vex, when you report back to your superiors, make sure you tell them something important. Tell them that Earth Defense Coalition has 47 ships equipped with primary railgun systems. Tell them we have 600 smaller vessels with point defense networks. Tell them we have manufacturing facilities on 12 colony worlds producing more every single day. She paused, letting that sink in. And tell them that if the Krathian Empire wants to test our primitive weapons again, we will be happy to provide a demonstration. Free of charge. Though I should warn you, next time, we will not stop at one shot. Next time, we will not wait for you to power up your weapons. Next time, Commander, we will fire first. Why not just destroy us now? Vex asked quietly. You have us disabled. Helpless. Because despite what you think, we are not savages. We gave you warnings. We gave you chances. Now we are giving you a choice. Leave human space and never come back, or find out exactly how creative we can get when we are really, truly angry. The transmission ended for the final time. 3 weeks later, the Krathian High Command received Commander Vex's report. They read it twice. Then they sent survey teams to verify his claims. The teams found 17 disabled Krathian vessels drifting near human colonies, all of them with perfectly circular holes punched through their vital systems. Not destroyed, just neutralized. A message. The Krathian Empire officially recognized human territorial claims 30 days after that. They never tested human weapons again. And across the galaxy, 46 other species who had been watching very carefully began submitting extremely polite diplomatic requests for trade agreements with Earth. Because if there was one thing the universe learned that day, it was this. Never, ever assume that primitive means powerless. Sometimes, the species throwing rocks is just waiting for you to get close enough to count. If this story entertained or taught you something, please like and subscribe to our channel. It really helps us grow and bring you more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next story.